Hello, I'm Will and this is Mike, we're the Tabletop Donkeys.
Hello.
And in this video we're going to be playing our first game of the new edition of Warhammer Age of Sigmar on camera for you, where we've got 1,000 points of Stormcast Eternals versus the Cruel Boys, taken from the Warhammer Age of Sigmar Stormbringer magazine collection. So here's the Stormcast Eternals army that I'll be using, all taken from the Age of Sigmar Stormbringer magazine collection. As I said, this is just over 1,000 points of 1,040. In the new edition, armies are built in regiments, which is where you have a hero leading a group of units, up to 3 per hero, or 4 for the General's regiment. So my general is a Knight Arcanum who will have the enhancement Envoy of the Heavens, which means that if one of my units was destroyed in the previous turn, then I can give a unit nearby her a 5+ ward until the start of my next turn. She's leading a unit of 3 Praetors with the magazine exclusive Praetor Prime there, a unit of 5 Vigilors with a champion, and 2 units of 5 Vindictors with champion and standard bearer. I have a second regiment led by a Knight Judicator with Gryph-hounds. He'll have the Mirror Shield enhancement, which means he cannot be targeted by ranged attacks by units more than 9 inches away. He's leading 6 Gryph-hounds and a Stormstrike Chariot with the bow. I get to pick a battle formation, and I'm going to go for the Thunderhead Host, which means that any of my Warrior Chamber units, which is almost everything, while it's wholly within 12 of a non-Warrior Chamber, non-hero unit, in this case just the Gryph-hounds, it gets +1 to hit with all its attacks, so everyone's going to be staying near the Gryph-hounds, I think. For my spell lore, I'm going to pick the Stormcast one, which is Lord of the Storm, so the Knight Arcanum can use any of the 3 spells in that. Prayer lore is irrelevant because I don't have any priests, and we are not going to be using a manifestation lore for either side in this game, partly because the Stormbringer collection doesn't come with any manifestations, but also because there's a lot of extra rules to go with them, and it's a lot for a 1,000-point game. And here we have just over 1,000 points of Cruel Boys, which is actually the entire Cruel Boys collection from the magazine, minus Swamp Boss Scumdrek.
Yeah, he's a bit too big for a game like this. So my general is going to be the Killer Boss with Stabgrot, and his regiment has the Gut Rippers, the Bolt Boys, and the Sluggoth, whereas my other regiment has the Swampcrawler Shaman leading 2 units of 10 Hobgrot Slitters and the Bestiary Killbow. My battle formation will be the Cruel Boys Claw, where friendly Cruel Boys units wholly within 3 of a terrain feature are not visible to enemy units more than 12 away from them. The boss will have the Backstabber trait, where at the end of any turn, if he's in combat with a hero and there's another Cruel Boys unit with him, he has a chance to do mortal wounds to that hero. And the Shaman's going to have the Swamp Staff, which just increases his power level by 1 because he's already a wizard, so he'll be a level 2 wizard, so he can cast 2 spells. And my spell lore is the Lore of the Swamp, and that's going to be it.
And here's our battlefield using 2 of the maps from the Stormbringer magazine. It's roughly the suggested size for this size of battle. The battle plan is the first one from the First Blood match play battle pack in the main rulebook, which is called Border War. There are 4 objectives arranged in a sort of diamond pattern around the centre, as you can see there. It's just 4 terrain pieces, but we've gone for 5 so that we can put one in the middle and still have a symmetrical setup, with a Nexus Siphon in the middle, which will be a place of power, and then 4 sets of Azerite Ruins, which are actually from the Mortal Realms collection, around the outside. So 2 victory points for holding 1 objective, 2 for holding 2 objectives, and 2 for holding more than your opponent at the end of your turn. There's a twist for this battle plan, which is that if you hold the objective in your opponent's territory, then you get an additional 2 victory points, and if you are the underdog, which basically means you have the fewest victory points in that battle round, then you gain an additional 1 for holding the ones either side, so it'll be objectives 2 and 3 in this situation. And we also have the battle tactics in play in this game as well for effectively secondary objectives. Having a look at deployment, you can now deploy units 1 at a time as before, or you can deploy an entire regiment as a single choice, provided nothing has been set up. I won the roll-off and decided to be the defender, which essentially ended up because Mike deployed both his regiments at once that I was always going to finish last deploying, so I used that to put a unit of Vigilors in Sons of the Storm, because that has to be deployed separately, which would then mean that the rest of the regiment couldn't be deployed as a single choice, so I was also going to lose, so I might as well do that. So in the centre we've got the Praetors, who are bodyguarding the Knight Arcanum in the centre there by objective 4, with the Knight Judicator on the objective. The Vigilors are behind the Praetors. The other unit of Vindictors is going to start on the board in front of the Gryph-hounds. I've got the Chariot over on my right flank, and then you can see, as I said, a unit of Vindictors deployed in the Celestial Realm to arrive later with Sons of the Storm, which works basically the same way as it used to. And on the other side of the board is the Cruel Boys army.
Yeah, so going from left to right, we have the Killbow, wholly within 3 of the fallen Sigmar heads, so that it benefits from my formation ability. We've got the Gut Rippers in the middle on objective 1 with the Killer Boss behind, then the Sluggoth, and then there's the Shaman with one of the units of Hobgrots, the Bolt Boys, again within 3 of the terrain so that they'll be hidden, and I've got some Hobgrots out on my left flank, although they might get run over by the Chariot.
And obviously there are a fair number of rules changes in this edition, but we'll go over them as they come up. But Mike finished deploying first, and then in this edition that means he gets to choose who takes priority in the first turn.
Yeah, and I will choose to go first.
So that means we'll be on to Cruel Boys turn 1. We both get 4 command points. That's for the entire battle round. There is an extra one if somebody is the underdog, but there is no underdog, and there's also an extra one for the player who has fewest auxiliary units in their army, but neither of us have any of those, because all our units are in regiments.
Now at the start of my turn I get to pick a battle tactic, and I'm going to pick Seize the Centre, so I have to get 2 units within 3 of the centre of the battlefield, and they can't be in combat.
Yeah, and the battle tactics always score 4 victory points if you can complete them. There are 6 generic ones to choose from, and you can only attempt each one once per game.
First thing is I'm going to use the Venom Encrusted Weapons dirty trick, which happens in the hero phase, and it's my first dirty trick I'm trying to use. So on a 2+ it happens. So it does, I'm using that on the Bolt Boys, so they get critical hits on 5+ instead of 6+. Next up, the Shaman is going to try and cast Mork's Cunning, which is a casting value of 6. I get +1 to the roll because of my Pot Grot, but if I roll a 4 unmodified, the Pot Grot dies, or just goes away. So that is a 6 rolled, is a 7.
So that does go off, but I can unbind as in the previous edition. Just need to roll higher than that. Oh, a 10, yes. So no Mork's Cunning.
Yeah, so that would have given a unit +1 to saves. The Shaman can also hand out a potion. He doesn't have his poisons anymore. I'm going to do that on the Gut Rippers. So on a 3+, they get +1 to their saves. I think on a 1 or a 2, they take D3 mortal damage. That's a 6, so it goes off. Yeah, so that's all of the abilities I'm going to be using in the hero phase.
So now I can use hero phase abilities, and I'm going to use a command ability called Magical Intervention, which is 1 command point, where I can try and cast a spell in the enemy hero phase. But I have -1 to the roll, but I'm going to try and cast Lightning Blast, which normally leads a 5, so I'll need a 6. I get a 10, well, modified down to a 9, technically, but you can unbind in your own turn.
So I need to roll a 10, though. I only got a 9.
So it does go off, and that just means the closest visible enemy unit takes D3 mortal damage. In this case, I think that's the Gut Rippers, based on where the Arcanum is. So they just take 2 mortal damage, which will kill one.
In the centre, I'm using at the double on the Gut Rippers, which works exactly the same. They get an auto run of 6, and that gets them in range of the centre and objective 2. Slogoth ran to also get within 3 of the centre, so I will achieve my battle tactic this turn. The Kill Boss moving up behind, the Killbow staying where it is. Over here, the Bolt Boys moving up a little bit just to get in range of the Vindictors and stay within 3 of the terrain. The Shaman getting in within range of the terrain as well. Hobgrots moving up normally, and the other unit of Hobgrots is just going to huddle around the terrain as well, just so they don't get shot at by the chariot.
But at the end of that phase, I'm going to spend another command point for redeploy on the unit of Vindictors. It isn't a reaction anymore to an enemy unit moving, it's a movement phase ability, which is used after all the opponents have done all their moves. So it's the same as before though, roll a d6. If I can roll decent, I can get out of range of the Bolt Boys. I roll a 2, that may or may not be enough. Not quite enough to get completely out of range, but one of the Bolt Boys now doesn't have a target, so it does reduce their firepower a little bit.
So in the shooting phase, the Bolt Boys are still going to shoot at the Vindictors. The one at the back isn't in range, so I only have 3 shots.
But as a reaction to that, I will declare all-out defense, which is the same as it was before, a command point for +1 to saves.
So we'll have 3 shots hitting on 3s, because we can now choose which profile we use. So 3 shots on 3s, 5s will automatically wound. Well, that's 2 auto wounds and a hit.
Venom Encrusted Weapons is the 5s to auto wound, and they have crit auto wound, so.
And 3s to wound normally. That is a wound as well. See, these are all at -2.
So with all out defense, we're going to have a 4+ save. Only made 1, and they're 2 damage each.
So yeah, that will be 4 damage in total. And then the Killbow is actually going to shoot at the Vigilors, try and pick off some of the Stormcast shooting. +1 to hit because it didn't move, so it's got 2 shots hitting on 3s. 6s will auto wound. So it got a hit, and it wounds on a 2. Even in 4th edition, it's still disappointing.
But that will be the end of the turn, because there's not going to be any charges. The Cruel Boys will score 10 victory points. That's 2 for holding 1 objective, 2 for 2, and 2 for more than me, and then 4 for achieving the battle tactic. As you can see on our fancy dial, that means it's 10 victory points to 0 at the end of Cruel Boys turn 1, as we go into Stormcast turn 1. Don't get any new command points at the start of the turn anymore, and I'm going to pick for my battle tactic attack on 2 fronts, which is take 2 objectives I didn't control, one of which must have been controlled by the opponent. I think I can do that if things go to plan. I'm going to try and cast Thundershock, which has a casting value of 6. If successful, it will give an enemy unit -1 on their wound rolls. I get an 8, which is successful.
Might as well unbind, because there's only 1 spell being cast at me. I got an 8, which is not successful.
So the Gut Rippers will be at -1 to wound. So here's my movement. The Praetors and the Vigilors moved up normally, as did the Knight Arcanum. The Gryph-hounds moved to the centre because, thanks to my formation, they have a sort of 12-inch bubble of making Warrior Chamber things better. The damaged Vindictors have moved towards Objective 3. The Chariot has moved on to Objective 3, and the Knight Judicator just moving up a little bit. And then after my moves, Mike used a command point to redeploy those Hobgrots.
I only rolled a 2, so I actually pulled them back rather than going towards the objective.
Yeah, his intention was to try and get onto Objective 3, but...
I didn't roll high enough.
Yeah. So on to my shooting phase, I'm going to start with the Vigilors, who are going to shoot at the Gut Rippers.
And I'm going to use all-out defence on them.
So we've got 11 shots, because we've got a champion hitting on 3s. Nothing special on criticals. Only 5 hits, I think. And they wound on 3s. Only 2. Now these are -1, but with the potion and all-out defence, that's actually +1 save.
So 2 4+ saves for the Gut Rippers. Look, failed both, so use another one.
And I'm going to shoot the Knight Judicator at them as well. His Gryph-hounds are now tokens, which I can put near an enemy unit. Within 12 of him, I roll a dice on a 1. The Gryph-hound is removed, but on a 2+, he gets +1 to hit and wound against that unit. So trying against the Gut Rippers, we rolled a 1, so one of the Gryph-hounds actually dies instead. Still be hitting on 2s because the Vigilors did do some damage to the Gut Rippers though. Well, he still rolled a 1. Because the Gryph-hound didn't work, he's only got 3s. Oh, he rolled a 1 anyway, so it's just the 1 wound, but it is at -2 rend.
So we're down to a 5+. No.
3 damage. So that kills another one, but this is a good point to point out as changing these edition rules. So you don't have wounded models anymore, just the unit now has damage allocated to it. So that extra damage there is just floating, and every time the damage allocated to a unit gets to the health characteristic of the unit, in this case 2, a model is removed. Finally, I've got the Chariot. It's going to shoot the Bolt Boys. Although they are within 3 of terrain, I'm now within 12 of them, so they can be seen. 2 shots with the bow, hitting on 3s, but 6s are 2 hits. No extra hits, but they both hit, and wounding on 3s. 1 wound, it's -1 rend, and it's anti-infantry +1 rend, so...
Well, they have no 6+7.
Yeah, so
they take a damage.
They take a damage. So onto my charge phase, I'm going to declare a charge with the Praetors. 2d6 roll for the Praetors is a 4. But I'll use my last command point for forward to victory, same as before, re-roll into a 12, well, they'll be in. So the Praetors will charge like that, getting on to Objective 2. And I'll declare a charge with the Chariot. It's going to be a big number, but you never know. Needing a big number, ooh, a 9, it's possible. That is enough, so we're going to go crashing into the Hobgrots over here. And it has a variation of its charge damage from before, it's just not as good as it used to be. So I pick a unit, and in this case the Hobgrots, and on a d3 roll of 2+, it takes that many mortal wounds. But that is a 1. I'm also going to declare a charge with the Knight Arcanum, because her bodyguard have run away, so they don't get a 5+ ward at the moment. No, she's not in with a 3, and I can't re-roll. Also, because it's a new edition and there's a lot to remember, I forgot in my hero phase I was supposed to pick a unit for their finest hour, which is now just a Stormcast ability, where I can pick a unit and they get the same effect as before, +1 to saves and to wound rolls. I would have picked the Praetors for that regardless, because they were the only ones who were going to be going in most likely anyway, so Mike's kindly let me do that because I forgot. So that's it, no more charges, we'll be on to the combat phase. I don't have any combat phase abilities that are not fight.
Yeah, I have 2. I'm going to use a dirty trick with Noisy Racket. I'm going to target the Praetors, so if I get a successful dirty trick, they get strike last. This is on a 3+, because I've only used 1 so far this battle round. So that happens, so the Praetors have strike last. Also roll for the Scare Shields, which is also on a 3+. That is as well. So the Praetors have strike last, and they have -1 to hit against the Gut Rippers.
With the Praetors having strike last, that means the only unit I can fight with right now is the Chariot, which doesn't need to pile in because it's on the objective, which is where I want it. There's no weapon range anymore, you can put your attacks into anything within combat range within 3 inches, so I think we will actually fight the Bolt Boys. So as before, 3 attacks with the axe, but it now has +1 damage on the charge. So we're hitting on 3s, we've got 2, and wounding on 3s, getting 2 at -1 rend. Yeah, they only have a 6+, so that goes straight through, 2 damage each. So that's 4 damage so far. We've got the Gryph Chargers, they hit on 4s, so we've only got 2. They wound on 3s. They don't. So that means the Bolt Boys do survive, because I only did 4 damage to them and they had 5 remaining.
Yeah, and I'm going to remove the boss and the other guy who are in front, so this one man left is actually just out of combat range now. So the Gut Rippers are going to pile in. I can just about get 3 of them on Objective 2, so I can maintain control of the objective, and they're going to use all-out attack, and because they were wholly within 12 of the killer boss, when they used all-out attack, they get +1 to wound as well as +1 to hit. 15 attacks hitting on 3s thanks to all-out attack, 6s will be mortal wounds instead. So 2 mortals. And then wounding on 3s thanks to the killer boss.
Yeah, because I get the -1 to wound with a spell.
Yeah, so there's another 5 wounds.
So 5 wounds with a 2+ save because it's their finest hour. We got a 1 though, which means that with the mortal damage, there's going to be 3 in total, which is enough to kill one because they're 3 health.
And the Holgrot Slaters on the chariot, it's going to be 21 attacks on 4s, and then 5s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wounds.
6 3+ saves. Oh, the chariot takes 3 damage. It has 10 health total, so it has 3 allocated now. Now the Praetors get to go. We've got 7 attacks from the remaining because we've got a champion. We are hitting on 2s because even though -1 to hit from scare shields, they've got +1 from being near the Griffhounds and +1 because the Vigilor shot at the Gut Rippers. We still get 2 1s though, and 2s to wound because it's their finest hour. 5 wounds at -1.
We got the potion, so we got 5+ saves. I didn't make any of them.
They are 2 damage each. So that was fortunate because the Cruel Boys who were in range of the objective were not able to stay in coherency, even though there were 2 of them. So basically they've only got 1 model on range of the objective now, which means I will take it at the end of the turn. So yes, I do just take objective 2. I take objective 3 with the chariot, meaning I now have more than the Cruel Boys, and I did achieve my battle tactic, because taking objective 2, which the Cruel Boys held, and objective 3, gives me the 10. And there is no battle shock phase anymore, so those Gut Rippers are sticking around, as is the remaining Bolt Boy. But with that, we're the end of the battle round. So rolling off for priority, but an important consideration here is that if I win the roll off and choose to take the double turn, I would not get to pick a battle tactic, so I'd be missing out on 4 victory points, which is incentive to not do that. But we'll see what the dice say. Well, I rolled a 5.
So did I.
And you had priority last turn.
So I will choose to go first this
yes, because you still get that choice. And because you didn't take the second turn, you do still get a battle tactic. It's only if you choose to take the double turn. And we'll be on to Cruel Boys turn 2. 4 CP each again for this battle round. There's no underdog because we're tied on victory points, so no extra one.
So my battle tactic for this turn is going to be slay the entourage. So I pick a unit in the enemy general's regiment and I complete the battle tactic if that unit's destroyed. And I'm going to pick the 2 remaining Praetors. Then I'm going to spend a command point to rally the Bolt Boys. So in this case I roll 6d6 and for each 4+, I can either heal or potentially bring stuff back. We'll see. I only got 1 4+, so I'll just heal that Bolt Boy I suppose. I'm also going to try and do Venom Encrusted Weapons. I'm going to do it on the Killer Boss. He gets it.
Yeah, it's a 2+ for the first dirty trick.
Shaman's going to try and cast Choking Mist. There's a casting value of 7. And that's going to fail, so...
Yeah, and it's also an unmodified 4 or less, so unfortunately the pot grot goes away as well.
Yep. And then he'll try and cast Mork's Cunning, I believe it was, needing a 6. Gets it with a 9.
I'll try and unbind that, needing a 10. Nope.
I'll put that on the Killer Boss, because he hits in range of it.
That's +1 save to him.
Yep. And then I can hand out a potion. I'll hand out a potion to the Hoggrots that are in melee. They get it as well.
Yeah, so +1 save for them as well. And I'll try Magical Intervention again with the same spell, Lightning Blast. Able to hit the Gut Rippers again if it goes off, but I need a 6 with the -1. We get a 9, which is actually an 8, so unbinding attempt.
Nope.
Nope, so D3 mortal damage to the Gut Rippers. 1, so it finishes off the wounded one, but there's 1 left. Yeah, sorry, I should be more precise. There was a wound allocated, so now 1 dies, leaving the boss.
So my movement, the Killer Boss and the Sloggoth are moving towards the Praetors. Bolt Boy, Shaman staying where he is. The Killer Boy staying where he is. Hoggrots are staying in combat, and these Hoggrots are moving around just so they can throw grenades at the chariot as well. Starting shooting with the Killer Bow. It's going to shoot the Vigilors again. It hasn't moved, so it has 2 shots on 3s again. It missed. Bolt Boy is going to fire 2 shots at the chariot.
I'll spend a command point for all out defense on the chariot.
I'll do hasty shots, so he gets 2 shots. So he hits on 3s. They both hit. Wound on 3s, 1 wound at -1.
With a 3+, yes.
The Hoggrots are going to throw grenades at the chariot, and they can throw grenades in combat.
Yeah, it's not automatic anymore, but the Grots do have the rule.
And they actually get 11 shots because the champion now gets an extra grenade shot as well. But they hit on 4s still. 6 hits, wounding on 3s, getting 2 at -1.
So 3s with all out defense. Oh, failed both, so that's 2 more damage going through. It's got 5 allocated so far.
And the other unit gets 6 wounds.
6 more saves. Failed another 2, so it's up to 7 damage allocated.
He gets a 7, that'll get him in. And I'll roll for the Sloggoth as well. 9 is definitely in as well. And also the unengaged unit of Hoggrots. They're in with an 11.
So that's what the Praetors are facing. And there's a load of Hoggrots on objective 3 now.
I'm going to try and do Noisy Racket again, this time on a chariot, again on a 3+. It does, so the chariot gets strike last, and Scare Shield for the Gut Ripper activates as well. I'll do the killer boss first in melee. He's going to use all-out attack on himself, so he gets +1 to wound as well, though knee biter sadly doesn't.
And I'll use all-out defense with the Praetors.
Yep, so he's got 5 attacks, hitting on 3s now because of all-out attack, and 5s will be mortal wounds. That's just 4 mortal damage. And then knee biter does get the benefit of all-out attack because that specifically applies to companions. So he hits on 3s, 5s are mortal. So that is a hit and a mortal. And it wounds on a 5, which does wound.
No rend though, so 2. Yes, so what, 5 damage?
5 damage.
Well, the Praetor Prime has got 2 damage allocated, so I'm going to do her before she dies. I will attack the killer boss, because the Slogoth will just heal itself. She's the only thing I can do anyway, because the Chariot strikes last. So she has 4 attacks on 3s, only hits twice. 3s to wound, just 1. -1.
4+ save base now. Shield doesn't do anything apparently, but we got +1 from that potion. So I made the save. So I'm going to pile in the Gut Ripper boss around, just in case he manages to fish a mortal wound and finish off the Praetors.
Get him on the objective.
Yeah. 3 attacks on 4s. We got a hit. -1 to wound means he wounds on a 4. He does, no rend.
2+ with all-out defense. Yep, still good.
Then the Slogoth, 4 attacks from the crew on 4s, getting 2. Wounding on 5s, oh, getting 1.
2+, yes.
And then 6 attacks from the claws, but on 4s as well, getting 1. Wounds on a 2, it does.
With a 3, we made it.
2 sets of 21 attacks from all the Hobgrots. So first batch on 4s, some amount of hits. Ooh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wounds.
Chariot has 3 left. Oh, and it dies. Yeah, well, that will be the end of the turns. Kruleboy's not scoring the battle tactic because it was to kill those 2 Praetors and there's 1 left. But holding 3 objectives now, so getting maximum 6 for that, meaning it's 16 to 10 as we head into Stormcast turn 2. For my battle tactic, I'm also going to pick Slay the Entourage, and I'm going to pick that 1 remaining Gut Ripper who is in the General's regiment. So it's going to be the Vigilor's finest hour this turn, and I'm going to try and activate the Place of Power with the Knight Arcanum, who is within 3 of it, so can try and do that. So I roll a dice on a 1, she takes mortal damage. On a 2+, she gets +1 to casting rolls. And we roll a 2, which is enough. And then we're going to try and cast Thundershock again, so we're going to +1, we need a 5. That's an 8.
Try and unbind with the Shaman. Oh, I did.
So that's it for my hero phase abilities.
Yeah, and I'm going to spend a command point to rally the Bolt Boys again. Or I get 1 back.
Yeah, so you need enough to get a full health worth back. Those 2 is enough to bring on. Then for movement, these 3 Vindictors down here are going to move up towards objective 3. The Gryph-hounds are also going that way. Vigilor's moving up slightly. The Knight Adjudicator moving towards the middle. Knight Arcanum going forward. The Praetor Prime will stay in melee because retreating now does mortal damage to you automatically, so she'll die if she tries. And then I'm going to bring in the other Vindictors from Scions of the Storm, 9 inches away from the killer boss. From the Celestial Realm, using Scions of the Storm ability. On to shooting, no redeployment from the Kruleboys, so the Vigilors are going to shoot at the Slogoth. 11 shots on 3s, 10 hits. And we're on 2s because it's their finest hour. 1 fail. I'll reroll that one that's on top of another one. Oh, it's hiding a 1. 8 wounds.
8 5+ saves. Ooh, made 3.
Try and put a Gryph-hound on it from the Knight Adjudicator, so same again. Didn't roll a 1 this time, so you get, well, you get +1 to hit, that doesn't matter, but +1 to wound, more importantly, so he hits on 2s. Still managed to miss once. 2s to wound. No, only 1 still.
6+. No, it's got 2 left. I'm going to spend my last command point to cover fire with the 2 Bolt Boys at the Gryph-hounds, because that's the closest unit.
Yep, -1 to hit, and they have to shoot the closest unit, but otherwise there's no other restrictions. So on to charges. We've got quite a lot, so we'll start with the Vindictors over here and just move along right to left, basically. So those Vindictors are 4. Well, that will be enough because they're just 3 inches away. The Gryph-hounds get a 6. They'll be in. Knight Arcanum is going into the Slogoth. She gets an 11. Vigilors get a 5. That will be enough to get them into something. Finally, the Vindictors who arrive from Scions of the Storm will need a hard 9. Oh, they get a 10.
Oh, no.
So here's the charge is over here on the door objective 3 side.
Yeah, and I'm going to try and use another dirty trick, which is Lethal Surprise. I'm going to use it on the unit of 3 Vindictors that charge those Hobgrots. So on a 4+, they take D3 mortal wounds. Mortal damage. They do 2.
So that will kill 1. Yeah, so that's on a 4+ because it's the 3rd dirty trick in this battle round. And then here's the charges on the other side. So we're basically surrounding everybody over here.
And then I'll try and do Noisy Racket in the combat phase. I'll use it on the Vigilors. Nope.
No, it would need a 5.
And the Scare Shield. Oh no.
So nobody has strikes last. I'm going to pick the Praetor Prime because she might die, and she's going to try and kill that Gut Ripper boss so that nobody else has to. So 3s to hit, only hits twice. 3s to wound. 2 though, -1.
Double 6 to live.
Oh, 1/6, but 2 damage. So I will get my battle tactic.
Oof. I'm going to do this unit of Hobgrots, going to try and stab some Griffhounds.
I'm going to do all out defense on those Griffhounds because it brings them right up to the heights of a 5+ save.
Wow. 21 attacks on 4s. And then 5s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 after all that.
So 5s to save. Oh, we made 1. It was sort of worth it, but that's still 4 damage. It will take out 2 Griffhounds. I'll do the 2 remaining Vindictors on objective 3. They have 5 attacks on 3s, nothing special on 6s. 4 hits, 3s to wound, 3 at -1.
3 hit. I'll do the Slogoth before it potentially gets killed, and it's going to attack the Knight Arcanum. The crew on 4s, getting 2 hits. 5s, nope. And the creature itself on 4s. Right, that's better than last time. 2s. 3 wounds at -1.
4s. Oh, made 2. 2 damage, I think. She has 6 health. I'm going to do the Vindictors that came in from Silence of the Storm.
Yep, and I'm going to use the Unleash the Stab Grot ability to give the killer boss a 5+ ward.
But the Stab Grot now is removed. 11 attacks on 3s. Nothing special on 6s. 7 hits wounding on 3s. Oh, only 2.
5s. Nope. 5+ ward. Sapon. He's got 5 left, I think. The killer boss is going to go, he's going to attack the Vindictors. 5 attacks on 4s. 5s are still mortal wounds because Venom across the weapons lasts until my next turn. Right, same again. It's 4 mortal damage.
I've got the Griffhounds. They have 4 attacks each on 4s. Extra one for the champion. Oh, that's not great. Only 5 hits, also wounding on 4s. So 4 wound at least. No rend though.
5+ saves because we got the potion. We saved 1. They're down to 7 as well. Oh, the Bolt Boys can actually pile into the Griffhounds, so they might as well. 3 attacks between them on 4s, 6s are mortals.
I'll do the Vigilors next. They're all going to attack the Slogoth. 11 attacks on 2s because they shot it. 9 hits, 3s to wound. 6.
6 5+ saves for the Slogoth. It is dead. And then I've got the other unit of Hobgrots attacking some Vindictors. 15 attacks on 4s. 9 hits, wounding on 5s. Oh, this unit's not as good as the other one. 1 wound.
3 to save, yes. Finally, I've got the Knight Arcanum, who can still be picked to pile in because she made a charge action and can pile in to get within combat range of the killer boss. 3 attacks on 3s, so they all hit. She wounds on 3s now in this edition. Oh, she rolled 4s anyway, so it's just 3.
So 5s again. Nope.
I think these are D3 each. 6.
6 5+ wards.
Yeah, because knee biter effect still in effect.
Nope.
Oh, yeah, you only had 5. But that will be the end of the turn. I take objective 2, not 3 though, it's still got too many Hobgrots on it. So I only get 4 points for the main objective, and I got my battle tactic for 4 as well. So it'll be 18 to 16 at the end of battle round 2.
Yeah, I think I'm going to call it there because I'm not really going to be able to defend objective 1. Even if Will chooses to go take a double turn, I don't think the battle tactic will matter all that much.
And I probably would, at this point, if I won the roll off, do the double turn, but go the battle tactic because I could then bring all the units that were on objective 2 into the middle and really press home the advantage. The Hobgrots will probably hold out for a little bit, but yeah, I think I've got too much stuff left over. If a unit gets destroyed, I've also still got an ability to bring a unit back for a command point once per game, so I haven't used that even. So yeah, I think this will probably end up being a Stormcast victory if we were to play it out to the full 4 turns. So that's that. We'll recap the game for you now and give you our thoughts on the new edition. So that was our first game of Age of Sigmar 4th edition. How did you think that went?
Well, I don't think Mork was on my side for that game. I don't think it was actually going too badly. If my Killbow had done anything at all and killed some of those Vigilors, and I'd killed off that Praetor Prime, I would have had a much better place on that flank. Because if I'd managed to kill off the Praetors, I think you wouldn't have killed a load of Gut Rippers, or fewer Gut Rippers, and then the Vigilors wouldn't have come in. You would have had a unit of Vindictors and just the Knight Arcanum left on that flank. And I think the Hobgrots probably would have held out for quite a bit longer against the Griffhound Bloodhounds and the other Vindictors. And they had the Bolt Boys and the Shaman backing them up. So I think I would have been able to squeak it out, but with everything dead on Objective 2, there were about a dozen Stormcast there, so there wasn't any point going
and I still had all my shooting left intact, which could do quite a lot of damage. Yeah, I think, as you say, failing to damage the Vigilors at all was a bit of a problem, because they did very well, actually.
I do think that the dirty tricks do actually really help counteract the fact that, Stormcast are higher quality, but with all the dirty tricks, like giving a unit strikes last or doing damage. I did roll well for my dirty tricks. I got basically all of the ones I wanted. I mean, we only got 2 in Stormbringer, but there was only one worth using, and it only applied in the first turn, so it was just very swiftly forgotten. Whereas now it's always do I want to use this or this?
Yeah, and there's another one we didn't see where you can sort of redeploy a unit across the board, which can really catch an opponent out.
And I did think about doing that with my free unit of Hobgrots, but I decided to consolidate on Objective 3 instead. And the Shaman does have the spell that gives +1 saves, and the other spell, which I failed to cast, reduces the number of attacks of enemy models by 1, which is actually quite useful.
Yeah, and being able to give him that enhancement for an extra wizard level, is very good when you've got good spells.
Because the unlimited spell for the Schoolboys isn't very good against Stormcast.
And actually, there are 3 Stormcast spells, but they're all useful. There's the damage one, the -1 to wound one, and there's another one which gives an enemy unit -1 dice when charging. So I think that's one thing actually I do like about this edition, is that giving you a spell lore with 3 spells in it, although it feels a bit like a loss of options, a lot of the time the old spell lores, you got to pick 1 per wizard, and a decent number of them were never very useful or were situational. Having all of the spells means that even if there is a situational spell, well, the situation might come up, whereas previously you just never bring it because it would be less likely to be useful. So
hopefully they would bring out more spell lores for each faction, but even if it's only 3 spells, at least you get all of them. And also the fact that you get all of the manifestations for free, because I think a lot of the endless spells just weren't worth taking, especially since you cost points, but you might as well get hold of them because they don't cost any points for you to take.
Yeah, however, I think the flip side of that is that since you get them for free, they can actually slow the game down quite a bit, because they have quite a lot of unique rules to them, and you can now attack them in melee and destroy them, but then your opponent can just summon them again, and you have to go through the same thing again. So particularly in smaller games, I'm probably not always inclined to take them, just because I think it ends up with too much going on. You can imagine we could theoretically have had 3 manifestations each in play on this board at the same time.
Well, Cruel Boys don't have any, so...
Well, true, you could have picked the generic ones.
Yeah.
Overall, the units haven't changed all that much. They still have mostly the same roles. A couple of things we didn't get to see, like Vindictors are better if you charge them. They have anti-charge, +1 rend, and potential to strike first.
Yeah, we didn't show off, but Hobgrots have an ability where they can potentially retreat while doing damage. I would say Hobgrots are definitely a lot better. I think what would usually happen in Stormbringer games is someone would sneeze on them and they would all run away.
Yeah, a big change is the removal of Battle Shock. In general, I do like morale effects in games, but the Battle Shock one was really not that impactful, because either you were a faction that never needed to worry about that very much, or you were a faction that did, but you usually had ways to mitigate it.
You could always just save a command point to keep a key unit in play anyway, and it mostly just slowed the game down, I think. But also the fact that retreating does damage as well, so you have to commit to combat.
And the fact that most units don't have shooting combat anymore either, so you can actually now tie up ranged units by charging them.
I don't think I can make any concrete opinions on the new edition yet. I have to try it out a bit more. This is my first game ever, and I haven't watched any battle reports, so I mean, it does seem it's a little bit quicker once you get used to everything.
Yeah, the removal of things like heroic actions and monstrous rampages and stuff like that does mean you don't have low impact things to think about at the start of every single turn, but then lots of units have individual abilities, so sometimes remembering them can fill all the brain space you've just saved, but we'll have to see how it goes with more games.
And also, Mysterious Terrain is gone. No more, and Terrain just has normal rules. Thank you. No pointless table to roll on for minor benefits, most of which didn't actually happen. Oh, and also the fact that there's a downside to taking a double turn as well.
Oh yes, I think that's very important. I don't know if anybody likes the double turn, so there's actually a
except for the game designers.
Yes.
But I do feel like with all the extra reactions and stuff, it is a bit more proactive. The big problem I find with games like this is, especially once the games get bigger, is that when it's not your turn, you're not really doing very much except rolling armor saves. Whereas now you've got things like the magical intervention and the covering fire, so you actually get to do things in your opponent's turn.
You do, but what I also like about that is that they're not reactions. So if you're in your movement phase, you don't constantly feel the need to say, after every move, say, would you like to redeploy? Would you like to redeploy? Whereas now, it's just after you've done all your moves, your opponent can choose to. And the same with counter shooting. My overall opinion, having probably seen a little bit more played than you have at least, is that I like generally the rules changes. Some of the factions and units I feel have lost a bit of flavour. But having said that, they have just redone them all with an index list each. Hopefully once the army books start coming out, they'll have more options to choose from and get a little bit more of that back.
Yeah, we'll hopefully do some more 4th edition. Maybe we'll do some Spearhead. Might be in a little while though, because Unfortunately, none of the collections so far build any of the spearheads. And also, actually, one thing to note, which we might say more in Stormbringer, is that none of the Underworld's warbands are usable. They're all Legends units, and apparently not very good. So that is quite a chunk of the Stormbringer collection is not actually viable anymore, which is disappointing. Yeah, I think maybe they just want to get away from the sort of hero hammer. And also the new regiment system I do quite like, because, I guess I kind of like restrictions in army building because it forces you to be a tiny bit creative, and also you end up with more themed armies, and it's useful if you're not entirely sure what to buy next for your army. If you can just look at what regiments you have and what space you have, and you can say, oh, what can fit in that regiment, and that might give you an idea of what to buy next.
Yeah, it's not so restrictive that you won't be able to bring your current collection, most likely, but it does give you a little bit more structure to some extent. But anyway, I think that's going to be it for our first look at the game and initial impressions. So let us know what your thoughts are in the comments below. We'll be interested to hear what experiences you've had in the last 6 weeks or so since the new edition came out. Obviously, if you enjoy the video, then feel free to leave a like and subscribe. There will hopefully be more 4th edition content to come. We've been the Tabletop Donkeys, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye for now.